message for the day for us is trauma is trauma. So what I mean by that is a lot of us experience trauma. Growing up, as kids, as adults, we experience a tremendous amount of pain and suffering. And one of the challenges is we compare our trauma to other people's trauma. And if we feel someone else had a deeper level of trauma, that our trauma is not worthy of being trauma. So we suppress our own trauma and don't discuss it because it's not enough to be considered trauma. And that's really some of the worst trauma. Is the stuff that sits and hangs in the middle. Some of the most severe alcoholics that never get well and that are unable to finish, or the alcoholics that aren't just out there drinking themselves to death. They just drink too much. They know that alcohol's making their lives less than satisfactory. They know they would do better if they would stop drinking, but they don't drink as much as John or Mary or whatever. And so they just kind of hang there their whole lives. I got an alcohol problem, but I'm not alcoholic. I don't need to go to meetings. You know, people that go to meetings are the ones that are more severe. So we have this trauma that just sits there. But here's the truth. Trauma is trauma. And think of it this way. Think of a human. Think of a human that has no friends, has no family, has nothing. Lives on his own, and all he has is his dog. Got this dog as a puppy, raised this dog. This dog does everything with this man. They wake up together, they sleep together, they go out on hikes together, they eat together. I mean, this is truly this man's best friend. And over the next 10 to 15 years, this is all the man has for a companion. And then unfortunately that dog dies right there in his arms. And that man feels a deep, deep sense of grief. A deep sense of grief, as if he were to lose a child or a brother. Just beside himself. And then somebody walks up and says, "Man, I understand it's sad, but you gotta think of it like this. It's just a dog. It's just a dog. People lose their children and their brothers and their friends, and this is just a dog." No. That man just lost everything that he ever had. The only love in his life. It's not just a dog. Your trauma is not just trauma. Your trauma is worthy. And if you keep burying your trauma and not allowing yourself to talk about it because it hurts you, you will not get well and you will not reach your full potential. We must discuss and process our trauma and see a different perspective of our trauma. I was talking to this beautiful lady this weekend. You know, somebody that I love so much, so dearly. And she's experiencing this, right? And anybody that talked to her from the outside that knew how she grew up would be like, damn, that is a challenging life. drug addict for a mother, severe drug addict for a mother that abused her emotionally and I believe most likely physically, especially when she was a child. Definitely verbally, just verbally lashed her. Had a father that was not there till later on in life. And but the people around her that she has surrounded herself with, in her mind, have gone through so much more. She has a sister that was, she believes went through much, much worse than her. Her mother was raped as a child by her own father. So how dare she try to feel trauma about herself? She needs to get over that shit, is her thoughts. It could have been worse, is her thoughts. And so she suppresses that stuff and buries that stuff deep. And she's held on to stuff like that for 50 years and doesn't feel worthy of leaning on somebody and opening up her heart and said, that hurt me. That hurt me. You're worthy of discussing your trauma. And not just complaining about your trauma. It's not what I'm talking about. People complain and complain and complain. There's a difference between discussing and trying to process it and trying to heal yourself from trauma than just complaining about it. Many of us, we're here to help because we've experienced trauma as well. And we'd love to help you. You don't have to. You're not alone. You're not alone in this. So many of us feel alone. And we're crying out for help, within our minds and within our hearts. And we're just afraid if somebody knows this, then maybe they'll love us less, or maybe nobody will love me at all if they know I did this, and know I went through that. It's just too much. And so we just bury that shit. It makes us feel unworthy of love. You are worthy of love no matter what you have done, no matter what you have not done. You are worthy of love. And you are worthy of healing. Stayed sick for over 30 years. I don't want you to be sick no more. Let it be okay to discuss your trauma. To the point even when people are challenged, severely challenged with rape and poverty and alcoholism and verbal and mental and physical abuse, right? That's the challenging trauma. Trauma is so weird that it can go the opposite way. Being overly supported with parents that love and do everything for you, get you everything, speak for you, to where when you grow up, the world just crashes down on you because you've been overly supported, so you stay juvenile, so you don't know how to handle life. Trauma's a weird thing, man. We see trauma as this deep, dark place, but our brains experience trauma in many different forms. So know yourself, know your trauma, and know that it's okay to talk about it with other people. And if you hear people say to you, oh, well, at least it wasn't like this, stop listening to them. Because they don't understand trauma. Your trauma's worth talking about. You are worth talking about. You are worth healing. You are worth love.